We've been talking on the YouTube channel quite a bit about Rage and the Rage franchise as a whole, guys. And in this segment of the show, I want to talk about Rage 3 and everything that we know so far about this title that is supposed to be upcoming and pretty much already has been announced as, being greenlit at this point. But I want to talk about some of the things that I'm wondering if this is actually a project that's going to happen, and if it already has been greenlit, will it get canceled at some time throughout the course of its production? So let's talk about it. So guys, in an article that was written by Nitish Singh of Gamers Suffice, Rage 3 release date and everything that we know about the FPS title. So the Rage franchise started way back in 2011 when ID Software rolled out the first iteration of the first-person shooter set on an apocalyptic backdrop. As soon as it came out, critics and gamers drew parallels with games like Fallout 3 and Borderlands. However, it did win a couple of awards for its graphics and gunplay, and over the years has earned a fan base as well. And then, of course, guys, we got Rage 2 that came out, which was developed or co-developed by Avalanche Studios. And even though it's been like a short period of time, guys, we are already hearing rumors about a possible third installment. So basically, Rage 2, shortly after it came out, there had been some talks from the studio director at ID Software, that being Tim Willits, guys. He was heard showing interest in a sequel. This has got fans curious and excited at the same time for a new Rage title that might build on the failures of Rage 2 and also help deliver better world building and create a more immersive story. So, during his interview with the reporter, Willits stated how the Rage franchise gave the developers a fun setting where they can try out new ideas and do what they want. However, there has been no mention of an official release date or even a statement on whether they have started development on the game. So, look, what it sounds like is that they want to work on it immediately. Pretty much before Rage 2 even released, guys, they had already been talking about making a third game, which kind of gives you some indication where their heads are at this point. Like they definitely want to continue the story. The thing about it, though, that bothered me with the statement before Rage 2 even released was simply that it seems to me, at least, that they were almost more focused on a continuation, that being Rage 3, than they were on Rage 2, and that might have actually hurt this game in a specific way. I look at just the game as a whole, guys. I thought that there was something underneath everything, the bad critical reception and even poor, sales, not really great sales, I should say, that kind of led to Rage 2 not really meeting its expectations and what it really could have done, because I think underneath all of it was something really special, and I think that this is a special franchise. And so Rage 2 at this point, guys, as we've seen it, seems like there's not a lot to really do in the open world. It's kind of just a lot of nothingness out there. And so I think that's something that if they do make a Rage 3, they need to really explore creating more environments that there's just more things to do in the open world, especially since there's only a single player story, guys. That kind of gives you, you want to do some exploration if you have some time to do those things throughout the course of the game. And unfortunately, they're just being just a single player story that really does hurt this game as a whole, in my opinion, because why are you going to spend $60 on a single player story that doesn't have an extremely immersive story? It doesn't have, the environments and such aren't necessarily like super interesting. Things are just not as interesting as you would hope or like. And not having multiplayer, not having co-op modes really also holds this game back, in my personal opinion, because it doesn't bring you back to the game after you beat the campaign. So look, at this point, Rage 3, the release date, they very well might be underway with development. I think, though, guys, that there's a possibility that, Bethesda may have pumped the brakes on Rage production simply because of what happened with Rage 2, right? And they're already looking ahead, that being ID Software, looking ahead to making the next iteration of this game, and it feels to me that they might just need to pump the brakes and try to make Rage 2 as good as they possibly can, which I would be fine with, whether that be through DLC, whether that be through just consistent updates. There's something special here. So if any of the developers over at ID Software are watching this video, I really think that you have something there, but I think that between multiplayer, co-op modes, and just making a more immersive more immersive environments, more things to do in those, environments, and that open world is really going to help in the long run. So with that, guys, what can we expect? So Rage 2 is far more colorful sequel to the gray-brown Rage 1. This has been supposedly done to create a distinct environment that separates itself from the Fallout series. The creators have also shown interest in creating something fun and thrilling. We also have rumors about the developers having a serious discussion about introducing giant cockroaches that players can ride. All this does give us an idea of the direction when the next part of the series might be heading. However, as stated earlier, there is still a long time before development on the new game starts, and it might be great if they give some attention to what the gamers have to say. So, the biggest demands are better open world gameplay experience and a more immersive storyline. And look, I totally get it. I totally get, fans of the Rage franchise, they want those things, right? Better open world gameplay experience, more immersive storyline. I get it. For me, it's more having more to do other than that single player experience. Having things like having a multiplayer experience, having co-op modes, very, very important to me personally. Now, as far as Rage 3 goes, guys, when can we expect this game? Well, here's the thing. Obviously, at this point in time, if you look at Bethesda and the landscape of what they're working on, you got Starfield that's going to be coming out. You've got Elder Scrolls 6. Of course, Doom Eternal already came out. So what would be next in, as far as what they're considering? Maybe Quake, maybe something else. It's hard to say. But Rage 3, I still think, is probably a number of years away, simply because of probably the sales as well as the critical reception of Rage 2. I think they're going to want to pump the brakes on it, try to breathe some fresh life into Rage 3, hopefully. That meaning, a single-player story that has very immersive. They also kind of make it... I've always found it interesting, guys, and I think it's important that developers make a game not thinking that they're going to make a sequel, thinking that you're going to make this and this is going to be it. This is going to be the only game in this, that you're going to have a chance to make. And you kind of take that approach instead of thinking that you're just going to continue making these games, because really, if bad reception comes out from that game or, bad sales, you might be completely left, with your pants down, essentially. And so it's important that you kind of make a game based on, just that one game. Don't look ahead, kind of live in the moment. And if it does really well, which is what you hope for, then you can move on to the next thing. You think about Doom 2016. I mean, that game kind of felt like its own thing. And then Doom Eternal, that comes out. So if you kind of follow a similar trend, there's something special underneath all of the stuff and all the bad, press and such that Rage 2 has gotten up to this point. I think Rage 3 could really be something special. But we're probably going to be looking at, guys, a number of years until this game comes out. So we don't know much, but what we do know is that this game is something that the developers are talking about, something that they definitely want to come out at some point or another. But let me know in the comment section below, what do you guys want to see in Rage 3 that could kind of change, the way in which, they kind of, this series goes in a specific direction. I'm hoping that you guys have, similar, or you just have different ideas of where you want to see this story go. And if you want to see multiplayer modes, co-op modes, what is it you guys want to see? Because at the end of the day, Bethesda's going to have the final say. And if they want to move on from it and make a new Quake game, make a new Prey game, those are all possibilities. I think Rage has something special underneath all of it, and I hope that they continue it in one way, shape, or form. But let me know what you guys think, and for more Rage 3 content and videos, stay here with Zero TV.